we had been trying and didn't happen. And I thought, oh gosh, I started this new job. There's, we need to put pause on that, which I really couldn't afford to do at my age. Lo and behold, I was pregnant, and my boss at the time, a female, her first reaction wasn't, oh, congratulations. It was, uh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And
Oh,
then
crap.
yeah, oh crap. And then 2 minutes later, oh, congratulations. It was like the afterthought.
Mm.
So, yeah, it makes me sad that we had to like wait to tell. I mean, I waited the full first trimester to say anything because I've had issues before. But it's sad that we have to kind of put that into consideration in revealing that. So,
Yeah.
I think I was almost 5 months pregnant before I said anything at work. I
oh,
waited
wow.
a really long, like
I was too.
it was a really cold winter. I took full advantage of ponchos and all sorts of those things. And in the spring, I was like, A-line dresses. I don't know what these are, but let's start wearing them. Yeah, I waited a long time. Yeah.
So Carly, how about you?
So I think that I think it's just really important when you're planning planning to have a family or you're pregnant is to come up with some sort of plan to the extent that you can. And by plan, I mean, so I was a full-time litigation attorney. You are on many court dockets and court deadlines. And then when you have a child, they're very demanding as well. So I knew that in my mind, something had to give a little bit. I didn't feel like I could keep up with both. And it's not to say that you have to give up one or the other, but I came up with a plan, something that would work best for me. And it's not going to be for everybody, but I was able to work remotely. So I've been working from my home office for 10 years now, way before COVID. And it's something that really allowed me to balance both. And I don't think that without it, I don't think that I would have been able to do both, at least to the extent that I was able to. And again, I know it's not for everybody. Some people need to be in that work environment, but for me, it allowed me pockets of time to do the extra things that I needed to do, right? So instead of taking a break from my work and walking down the hall at the office to chit chat, which by the way is very necessary to your day, I could do some laundry or I could do the dishes. So it just, like I said, it allowed me a pocket of time to be able to do more. So planning to the extent that you're able to, I think is really important. And also expressing, if you work for a big firm, expressing your needs and staying firm with that. These are my needs. This is what I'm going to need to be able to do in order to balance this, I think is really important.
Yeah. And I admire that you were able to plan that out up front and like understand and map out your own needs. I think I was in like a panic stage, being like, oh shit, like how am I going to do all this without anyone realizing that I'm like juggling it? And at the time, at least for me at the time, working from home wasn't an option. So I did it secretly. I would have a deposition. I just wouldn't come back to the office, or if I had a deposition outside the office, I just would never go in that day, and I just didn't ask. And I think I just started working from home on Fridays and just didn't tell anybody, and no one asked any questions, so I just kept doing it. But that worked for me in the place I was at that time.
Right.
But I was very thankful when I moved to where I am now that, work at home, work in the office, work in the park, work wherever you want, just get, do what you need to do to get your stuff done. That worked much better. But at the time that I had to use a different system. So that's great that you were able to like recognize it and like propose it early on.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that it's becoming more available to people who need it because of the pandemic. Firms see that it's, accessible and they can make it work. And, hopefully it works out for more people.
Now, I'm going to circle back with Jamie on this one too. Like how was your firm, or how was your experience at your firm with, your maternity leave and your time off? Because I know this was an issue with me. My firm that I was at was like, we don't have one of those policies. Like it was like a new thing to them. So I'm curious what your experience was.
Yeah, that was the interesting part for me. So when I was interviewing with the firm, thinking that I was not going to need it anytime soon, I was recruited. So at the time I felt a little bit of flexibility or confidence, I guess it will, asking about things I don't think I otherwise would have. One of them being maternity leave policies. So I got a commitment from them of 6 weeks leave that would be paid at the time, and lo and behold, I needed it, and I was able to tack on the rest of my kind of vacation time for the year that I hadn't used up until that point. So I think I had something like 8 weeks off. The thing that I think I don't want to say most proud of, but one of the things I'm really proud of at the firm after that experience, obviously, is, I became really passionate about advocating for longer parental leave, particularly among firms, and emphasis on the parental part of the parental leave, not just maternity. So an opportunity came up. One of the partners let me know that the firm was going to be reevaluating its leave policies, and what did I get? And so I told them, and I took it as a chance to advocate for what I thought would be better. So the firm now has a 12-week parental leave policy, fully paid, and you can take that birth or adoption or surrogacy anytime in the first year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be consecutive. It doesn't have to be
That's
right
awesome.
away. It can be anytime in the first year. So I was really pleased that they made that, and there was no gripes about it. They really moved to that policy. It was great.
Yeah, that's really good
That's
because
amazing.
I
Yeah.
had a similar as your policy was like 6 weeks. And then you just have a lot of stress at that point because you're like, oh, now I have it just the financial aspect, because you're like, okay, I know how to live, without kids. But now you need to start planning ahead, like, okay, well, then I'm not going to work. And if I'm not going to get paid for this amount of time, and then I need to pay for daycare, but you want to maximize the time that you're home. And it just was a lot of stress. I just remember being very stressed about the whole thing.
Also,
And I didn't appreciate 6 weeks at the time. So like my past job in the public sector, it was 10 days. That was the leave policy when you pregnancy or adoption, but you got 10 days. And so I said 10 days to 6 weeks. This is great. Until I became a mom and realized 6 weeks, like this is not even remotely close to being enough.
I think people forget that not a lot of daycares will even accept your infant at 6 weeks. I mean, I think that most of them are 8 weeks or 10 weeks. So, I mean, what are you supposed to do with this little baby who can't sit up or eat or
sleep through the night,
do anything?
And that was before the pandemic, when daycares were still slightly more abundant in number. I don't know about the states that you're in, but in Maine, our local Maine Public Radio did a whole series about the daycare crisis in the state in 2019. So before the pandemic even hit, and the daycares so many of them have closed since then, just because they can't keep up with the cost of doing business now. It's really, I think, if we're talking about anything, just this the childcare crisis among professionals, and making sure you have access to available, affordable, flexible enough childcare.